What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Beat of KC. We have yet again another amazing guest on this channel. This is amazing. I'm telling you, this is going to be one of those videos. This is going to be one of those interviews that is going to be extremely exciting. I have Tony, the baseball road tripper. Actually, it's baseball road tripper on here. Incredible YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. Just hit 1,000 subscribers. So congratulations on that, my friend. That's an absolute awesome achievement. I know for a fact how exciting that is. So what's going on, man?
Just living the dream over here. So got back from doing some baseball road tripping. Finally, good to actually be on the road again, and just trying to live my best life here.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So before we dive into this, let everybody know where they can find you on Twitter. Give them your handle so they can come over there and smash that follow button.
Twitter, I am Tony V433.
There it is. There it is. So go give them a follow, and then obviously the baseball road tripper. I keep saying it's baseball road tripper. Over at YouTube, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button. Make sure you comment down in the comment section. I'm telling you, it's one of the most tremendous things you will see. And we're going to dive into this. So first question up is that exactly how did you start YouTube? Why did you start YouTube back in March of 2006, I believe?
Ooh, that is a good question. I just really liked YouTube at that point and was more just a watcher and didn't know that I could really make my own videos. And I don't think it was until, man, at least 5 or 6 years after that I finally uploaded my first video, which was just my family playing a weird game that I made up on the outdoor pond at my grandparents. And then from there, I kind of switched over to doing more baseball stuff because I loved baseball, and it was just kind of an experiment to see, okay, let's just chronicle this for myself, and maybe I'll put it on my blog, which I haven't posted on for over a year now, but it was kind of that transition from blog to vlog to now just vlogging.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. So how did the concept of baseball road tripper come about? Because in your presentation, in your videos, a big portion of that is really kind of giving an overlay of what the stadium is like, collecting baseballs, obviously, which we'll talk about. But how did that whole idea? Because I think what you do with that is what's tremendous is the fact that, you kind of give an overlay of the stadium. I know you went to Atlanta recently and you were, walking through where Hank Aaron's display was. I thought that was tremendous because a chance for me to go to Atlanta anytime soon, I just not going to be able to. And that's a place I really want to go. So for you to display that and show that, I thought that was tremendous. So how did this whole really baseball road tripper come about and how you decided to do your presentation?
That's a good question. I think at about the same time that Zach Hampel started to upload videos, that's when I was starting to kind of question if, video was the next blog. I loved reading his blog, but there was just something missing. You could only put so many pictures on there. And kind of like you, as soon as he started putting more and more content out there, I felt like I went to those stadiums. And then when I started to realize that my phobia of planes could be tackled,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of incorporated that in my first Atlanta trip with my buddy. And then from there, I just realized, oh, the world is opening up. Let's continue to do this and show off from my perspective, because that's the type of stuff that I want to see from other people too. So if it's an inspiration for other people to show their perspective, or if it's just their escape, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. And I think a perfect example of what you do is exactly what happened more recently with the Toronto makeshift stadium. I mean, you were watching the game, you were down there, but then you go to the outside of the stadium, which in my mind, I'm like, that makes sense, but I just wouldn't have thought of it. And you're out there just hounding, rounding up baseballs. I thought that was the most incredible thing. And that then translates to people who watch your channel be like, hey, maybe in the future, that's some way I can get a ball for, my son or my daughter or someone who's interested in a baseball. So I thought that was again, another just tremendous thing that you were displaying. So that does lead me to this question. And you may not know, and you may know, but how many baseballs do you think you've collected in your entire time of doing this baseball road tripper?
That is a good question, and I'm glad that I wrote down some notes here. It all started, my first baseball was back in 2009, and I wasn't obviously doing the videos yet,
Yeah.
but at that point I was 25 years old, and up until then I hadn't gotten a baseball, and I had gone to the Metrodome tons of times with my dad. We were close a few times, and it was just one of those things that deep down inside as a kid I wanted to get. And I finally was like, you know what? At 25, I should be able to do this. And on my first try in 2009, back in April, I think 15th, I finally got one. And then now, 1,235 baseballs.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, with that being said, how many of those do you still have, and how many do you think you've given away to kids and family members and whoever else?
That is a good question. So I count mine a little bit differently. The ones that I count are the ones that I bring home.
Okay.
But then on top of that, there's been plenty of giveaways. And I, for me, I just really like the idea of trying to help the kids around me be in a better position. So there's a lot of times where I'll take 5-10 minutes out of my ball hawking time to work with a kid and just be
Yeah.
like, hey, I I don't want to be the one who catches it for you, because honestly, like if I were to remember something, it'd be a lot cooler to get it directly from that player. But what I'll do is holler at the player, kind of be like, hey, how about for this little kid over here? And then work with them to be a little bit louder, because a lot of kids that are 5 or 6 years old don't have the voices that we do that can really
Yeah.
carry. So those are my favorites. But then there's also the ones that if I have a few extra balls that, 3 or under, they're not going to be able to catch it. You just walk around the stadium and be like, here you go. Here's one from BP.
That's awesome. That's honestly tremendous, and that's what I was telling Robbie. I was like, man, I think that has to be so gratifying because there's so many kids that are in that stadium that are like, if I just had a chance to get a baseball, the gratification has to be amazing. So I commend you for that. I think that's awesome. And
And it,
that's
that
honest.
does really go back to me being skunked for the first 25 years of my life. So just knowing that, like, okay, if that was my dream when I was their age, let's really work on fulfilling that dream, because I don't know, it's just it brings me back to that time.
That's awesome. And I can completely relate. My first ever baseball, honestly, came off of a foul ball. Mike McDougal, if you remember Mike McDougal pitching for the
Wow.
Kansas City Royals, to Frank Thomas. Obviously, we were a struggling ball club for the Kansas City Royals at the time. And I was able to walk from the top of the stadium where my ticket was all the way down to like the first 10 rows behind the first base dugout. Foul ball off of Frank Thomas comes flying at the seat, probably 3 rows in front of me, stops. I go to grab it, and this monster of a man decides to tackle me to get this ball. So I'm under this guy trying to fight for this ball. My hand's getting all cut up. I come out with it, and I'm like, man, this is the most incredible thing ever. So, I completely understand, getting a ball for the first time. Never did I think I'd have to go toe to toe with probably a 300-pound man, but I got it. So that was incredible. But
Was that
I'll
when,
tell
Frank was on the White Sox then?
it was, yeah, it was. We were definitely a struggling ball club for sure. So I do have a few, if you can see over there to behind me.
Yep.
Some of those are a little bit more memorable to me just because they're from my like playing days. So I have a few baseballs of my own, but yeah, it's definitely something I think is extremely extremely cool. So that does lead me to a question because off of those you have to have a favorite one or you have to have a favorite collection of those. Which one is a favorite and why?
It's going to be Kenny Vargas's first career home run, because that
Really?
was also the first home run that I ever caught on the fly during a game.
Okay.
So it was kind of cool to share that first with him and give him back the ball. And I ended up getting a signed baseball and bat in return, as well as the lineup cards. So I have that night pretty well documented. And I even posted a picture on Instagram like an hour before it happened, showing a picture of the flagpole from me looking up at it, saying tonight would be a perfect night for a Kenny's bomb. So somehow I called my shot, and it's still unbelievable, especially because I was wearing a catcher's mitt. So I made a perfect play right over the railing on that overhang, and it was just magical.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I have seen your big glove, but you were wearing a catcher's mitt for this one.
Yep.
That's awesome. And I'm a lefty naturally, but I've also transitioned just to screw around a little bit with a catcher's glove. It's not easy, just catching a normal ball. So I commend you for that as well. That's awesome. That is
I'm
absolutely
surprised
awesome.
you found a lefty catcher's mitt. That's pretty rare.
There are some that have been circulating around, and it was like a collection. So I always screwed around because when I was in college, I started out as a pitcher. And so I would bust that thing out and we would mess around with it. So yeah, I'm sure it's a rarity because that definitely doesn't happen at any level. It seems like I did catch when I was in Little League, but it immediately got nixed once I got to any level of competition. So, uh, but yeah, that's awesome, man. So I do have to ask you, uh, favorite stadium outside of Target Field, because I know you obviously you're from Minnesota. So outside of Target Field, which has been your favorite stadium?
Well, the good news is that even if I was being a homer, I still can't claim that Target Field is the best. So yeah, I kind of have it in two categories. Overall, I think if you were telling me that I had one stadium left to go to and that was it, I would pick Fenway.
Okay.
I mean, it's the history and also the quirkiness is just top notch. But if I'm going with anything that kind of omits the history aspect, it would probably be in San Francisco Oracle Park, because there's something about baseball and water, and that's why I still think that Kauffman is a top half ballpark, if not top 10 ballpark in the league, because you guys got those water fountains in the outfield. And I'm sorry, but Target Field, we're the land of 10,000 lakes and we don't have any lake or water representation. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, and I mean even the Rockies have that little fountain out there in center. You got the Diamondbacks have a swimming pool.
Yep.
I mean, who else has Atlanta? I even think has water out in their center field.
Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of crazy, but that's awesome. Obviously my Royals, oh my goodness, are playing at Fenway right now, and they just cannot seem to figure out pitching right now. But that's awesome to hear. That's definitely a bucket list of mine, no matter what. Even I think someone who's not truly a baseball fan, that should be on their bucket list anyways, because that is tremendously something that is historical. So that's
And
awesome
if
to hear.
if you do go out there, try to do the pregame tour, because I'm not a huge Red Sox fan, but there's something about they actually have really really well informed tour guides, and by the end of it, you're almost a Red Sox fan because you're just pumped up with this history, with this
Yeah.
vibe, and it's just so exciting.
Yeah, that's what's incredible about baseball is I think as just naturally as a fan of the game itself, you can appreciate, those types of tours and really those experiences because I mean, you think historically, I growing up in my just even me growing up watching the Red Sox finally winning a World Series, seeing Johnny Damon go from the Royals and go to the Red Sox and do what he did there. So it's from a historical standpoint, it's definitely something that you appreciate. And I love baseball so much. It's something that I did as a kid. I remember when I was in high school, the weekends would roll around and I would be playing 3 games in a day, turn around and go play 3 more the next day. Like it's just always I've always enjoyed it. So I completely understand. So that
Did
definitely go ahead.
did Brett Saberhagen, did he finish his career in Boston?
Ooh, I believe so. I do believe so. I know he was it the Mets or was it the Red Sox?
That's a good
I have to
question.
double check because I know he went to the Mets. I believe, but I can't remember if he finished there or if he went to the. But yeah, Saberhagen, holy smokes, I
Yeah.
mean, one of our Cy Young guys for sure.
Yep.
So
And I know that being a Minnesota guy, Kirby Puckett,
yeah.
those two, it seemed like they were actually really friendly and respected each other's game. But oh boy, that was a matchup when those two faced off.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. You know, it's nice to go back. So I actually have a collection over here of the World Series back in '85 when we played the Cardinals, and going back and watching it, it's a different experience because it's like baseball was played different. You can just see it, and so you know, like there was that respect, but it was a competitive respect,
Yep.
and you definitely enjoyed watching that for sure. So, but that leads me to this next question, and I as a fan am excited for this question, and the reason is because I think this will help people understand what you endure and go through as a fan. So, what has been your best fan experience at any ballpark? Like, what have you experienced that it kind of just blew you away? That you're like, man, I would love to just come back due to this.
That is a really good question, and not something that I really think back on. I do have like my stadium rankings, and that's just kind of it, as weird as it is. I obviously love ball hawking, but I take that out of it. It could be the worst ball hawking stadium, but if it's something magical and special, it'll supersede any type of ball hawk stats.
Yeah,
But as far as an experience goes, I might have to say, well, actually, I lied. Something really does stick out. Me and my buddy Jared, we went out to Dodger Stadium and ended up getting the like primo seats right behind home plate area. And he and I still joke to this day that the lime um, popsicles were so good that we would be willing to just fly out there, pay the money, and fly back the same day just to have those.
that's
And
awesome.
they were so good. Everyone was like super chill. I mean, it was just, and the views, that that was probably the best experience at a ballpark.
That's awesome. You know, and that's one question that I didn't really get to expand upon with Robbie, but it's definitely a question I asked him just based on Kansas City, because what we kind of got dove into was, you know, before they used to offer early pregame BP and it was an extra ticket and things like that, and he always says that he voices his opinion anytime they offer him a review, and so I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to ask Tony a question just based on his fan experience because have you been to every ballpark?
Yes, every ballpark, and then three kind of three former ballparks, and then three additional random ballparks.
Yeah. So obviously you're throwing in the Toronto makeshift down.
Yep.
That was awesome. I watched I had to watch your video, and then I had to watch the other video where a phone almost got destroyed or it did get destroyed. That was amazing too. So it's just incredible to see, you know, how you approach that, go into it. I think that that's truly just something that's special. So do you have any advice for someone who is getting into ball hawking as a rookie? Like this is their first time. They want to get some tips, some pointers. What do you have for them that you know just to go into a stadium? Do you have tips on getting there early? Just anything in general?
I would say the best thing you can do is get there as early as possible. And then once you're inside the stadium, find somewhere on the lower level that is close enough to the field, but far enough away from the new netting, and preferably far enough away from others around you. And then at that point, make make an effort to make noise, but not just constant noise. Pay attention who's throwing the ball, where they're at in their warm ups. Obviously, don't hound a guy when he's in the middle of his warm up, but if you can tell that things are winding down, whether it's an infield routine or just pitchers throwing back and forth, then kind of stick out and be one of the first to say, hey, do you mind throwing it up here? And if you're loud enough and polite enough, which seems like an oxymoron, but they can go hand in hand, it's it usually works.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think what's also cool is like you can see that being conducted in your videos. Like, I one of the one that sticks out to me the most was when you guys were in Minnesota and obviously Robbie goes down and I'm watching it and he goes down and I believe was it Tommy Malone he was talking to or was it the first base coach that's Tommy?
First base coach, yeah, Tommy Watkins.
Oh, Watkins. Okay. So obviously I don't think Tommy Malone pitches for you guys anymore.
Oh,
But
not a,
yeah, so okay, so the first base coach goes down there, approaches him, probably perfect, flawlessly. I mean, Robbie speaks well, anyways, and comes up with a ball, and I think that's incredible. And that was one of the biggest things that I drew from the interview with Robbie, even in your case, is just show like respect, not constantly be a hound. One of the things that he talked about too is just saying like, "Hey, guy," or "Hey," or whatever. At least show some respect and know the person's name or the player's name in that case. So I think that's some important details because there's a lot of people out there that definitely want to do that. It was crazy too. Like I see you in the in that recent one, you were switching hats. Is that a trait or a trick that people need to maybe look into?
it doesn't hurt, but I think that a lot of ball hawks think that it helps more than it really does. Guys aren't dumb. They might be able to be fooled once or twice, but for the most part, they're not gonna be like totally mean that you're wearing the home team's hat. I mean, they're used to going to an away game and seeing guys wearing their hat.
Yeah,
But if you know them, if you can still be wearing the opposing team's hat, but if you're nice to them and even make like a funny joke, a self-deprecating joke. I mean, with the Twins, it's easy. You can just say, "Hey, we're so bad that I even need the practice. Do you mind throwing me a ball?" That can help break the ice. And then kind of going back to what you were talking about before too, if a guy does say, "Hey, no, not right now," still thank him and be like, "Hey, I understand. It's cool." Because who knows, there might be a ball later on, and if you acted cool and you didn't throw a fit, you could still end up getting a ball from him.
that's awesome. That's what I think is definitely good information to pass on. So I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about YouTube before we wrap up. So you did just get to the 1,000 subscribers. I think again that is an awesome feat. I know exactly how that feels, man. It feels like all the weight is off your shoulders. Do you have anything planned for the 1,000 subscribers? I know you were doing the Shohei Otani. Have you done that yet and given that out or?
So that is not given out yet, but I think on the 4th of July, since I hit it and that's a big milestone, I'll end up doing that and kind of not only reaching out to the person, but maybe just make a addendum on the video that I have scheduled for it, saying, "Hey, this person won it. Congratulate them." And I think at this point, just like I told Robbie, I've been helped out by Zach Ample. He threw a bunch of subscribers my way and highlighted the channel. And just like you're doing too, like it's all about collaborating. It's all
Yep.
about working together. And this it isn't just you only sign up for one YouTube channel. You can sign up for as many as you want. And
Yeah.
there's really great content by people that you might not know. And in fact, some of the best content that I've come across has been those small channels that then blow up because they're just making really authentic, good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that I always emphasize on my stock channel, and it translates into this is you find sometimes that the smaller channels create a little bit better content at times just because they're hungrier to get to that level. And it's like they almost go above and beyond. Not that big time people don't, because that's how they got there, but you definitely sense it from the people who really want to be successful in the YouTube platform because they really do push hard, try to provide a different perspective, or they give unique things, and it's absolutely awesome. And so that's always something I did even on my stock side was anytime I saw a new YouTuber coming up, I would promote their channel or give them a shout out or whatever I could, because I completely understand exactly what that feels like, and that's just kind of the person I am anyway. So I think that's awesome. And I'm super pumped for you, man, for hitting 1,000. I know the sky's the limit. It's coming for sure because it's interesting from a sports perspective. It's just interesting to see. You know, I seek out Trevor Bauer all the time and I watch his YouTube content because you're seeing the insides, the ins and outs of being a major league pitcher and really a player on a day-to-day basis. I think that's tremendous, but you're providing it from a fan perspective and a ball hawk perspective. And I think that's awesome too, because people seek that out. So I know it's going to grow. I know you're going to explode, man. And just remember us small guys when you're doing it. So
Hey, we're all on this rocket together.
heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. So, well, I appreciate your time. I really do. I think this was tremendous. I definitely would like to talk to you again down the road. I would love to get in person and go to a game with you. So, when are you heading to Kansas City?
I think that is going to be July 17th, and then maybe another return trip in October for the last game of the season.
Okay, awesome. Well, I do think I probably could meet you on the 17th. That'd be tremendous. I'd look forward to that, man. I'd love to definitely meet you in person and just see everything, how it works, what you do, ins and outs. I
I
might
know
even sit on.
Robbie's going to be there too, so it'll be three cool dudes hanging out and enjoying baseball.
That's awesome. That's what's up. That's what's up. So, give everybody your socials again. Let them know what the YouTube is so they can go over there and add more to the 1,000 plus. So let
Cool.
everybody know what's up.
All right, youtube.com/baseball road tripper, and then on Twitter at Tony V433. And every once in a while, it's hit or miss, but also on Instagram at Tony433433.
Awesome, man. Well, again, I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you guys know how I wrap this up. You guys know how I close this out. As always, I appreciate you checking out the beat of KC and have a good day.
Thank you, Lucas.
No problem.